Welcome to the MIDCONVO podcast. We got your boy Paul up in the crib, first time in Seattle.
Come on.
For those of you OGs on the podcast, you would know that this is a pretty special moment that we have Paul up in Seattle all the way from Miami. Let's go.
Come on, man. I went from Miami to Seattle, showed up, slept in your awesome guest bedroom. Thank you for that.
Let's go. Shout out to Christine.
She's the
interior designer at her house.
But no, it's cool. Full circle, coming to Seattle for the first time. Ed, I'm sorry you've been to Miami a couple times, but we're about to run this episode. And I think what I'm most excited about is, first of all, we're doing this from the living room.
Sheesh.
This is the MIDCONVO living room.
Welcome to the middle of the conversation in the living room.
That's good.
All right, what are we talking about today, though?
I think we're talking about 5 things that we're building. 5 things that we're building.
I think it's as important to talk about because as a creative, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yep.
You really need to diversify not just your energy, but just overall mental focus, your money, whatever it is you're doing. I feel like it's really easy to get one-track minded when you're trying to make money as a creative. So today, we're actually going to keep it pretty transparent. Me and Paul, we want to talk a little bit about what we're working on, some of the things that we are investing, not only our time, but also our money into as well. Is anything else that you want to, tease a little bit on what is coming in this episode?
Oh man, we're about to bring it. All I got to say is a lot of the stuff we're about to talk about, we really haven't talked about before. We're about to get into some nitty gritty details. Hopefully some of this will inspire you, encourage you, and then also maybe you can apply it to your own life and your business. But first and foremost, let's roll that intro music.
Let's go.
What are you building, man?
What do you think about my Cole Buxton hat, though?
That Cole Buxton, though.
But this is Paul's favorite brand. I didn't even know about this brand until I saw Paul wear a Cole Buxton hat. And I was like, bro, I got to get the Cole Buxton hat. I got to be like Paul.
What I love about you, though, in the outfit, you're matching the colorways of the Cole Buxton.
Fit check for those on YouTube. Your boy's rocking the About Blank hoodie, Cole Buxton hat. Come at your boy.
Levi jeans are those Zara?
Abercrombie.
Oh, Abercrombie.
Okay. On the loose fit, throw away all my skinny jeans was good.
Man, I love that. So what are you building? What do you got going on? I feel like a lot of people that are kind of running the freelance race. We're halfway throughout the year at the time of this episode. And it's kind of cool to look at, okay, outside of just maybe what people see online on your Instagram, part of this episode I think is really getting personal.
Yeah.
What are some of the things?
So I would say aside from this podcast, obviously, and my Instagram, I am actually in the process of trying to build some sort of like educational platform of some sort. That's kind of taken a lot of like turns and pivots over the years, but it's something I don't necessarily want to give up on quite just yet. But I think the way I delivered my information is something that I'm really just hyper aware of, and I don't want to come off as like a guru or come off as someone who's just trying to make a quick buck, which is why I think I've been trying to intentionally build something off platform. And that's kind of the first thing I want to talk about is, as many of you know, I'm very public with a lot of the work that I'm doing. So like social media, YouTube, Instagram, all the things. So for me, I want to build something that is not necessarily tied to just an algorithm. It's just tied to the fact that I put in a lot of work on it. Maybe I start running paid ads for it. Maybe if no one even knew who I was, they came across an ad and they would still be compelled to purchase something. And I think that's something that I'm building right now, which is essentially a way to make money off algorithms.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing that we talk about off the mic is, as a filmmaker, photographer, videographer, at some point in time, we might have to put the camera down.
Dude, yeah, I don't want to be with my back hurting or like...
Yo, I don't know about you guys, but if you hold the camera too long, you're going to get gimbal back, which is hunchback. Which brings me to...
Not the gimbal back.
Yo, I just made that up. That could be a merch idea.
Gimbal back?
Like no one wants gimbal back. Give me an easy rig. It's clever though.
That's funny, dude.
But yeah, Ed said, we're building MIDCONVO. First and foremost, that's a part of kind of our relationship. is coming together and just sharing value, and also just more so going forward, we're going to do our best at giving you guys an inside look at what's going on in our businesses from maybe a 10,000 foot view, but also kind of getting into the behind the scenes. So MIDCONVO, building that together. One thing that I'm building right now that's actually kind of interesting is business consulting. I think for the longest time I've been like, what does consulting mean?
Yeah, it's kind of it feels like a buzzword sometimes, like consulting.
And I've stayed away from it. Mm-hmm. But I just want to say that any freelancer out there that finds that the clients they're coming in contact with are almost asking for content, but they don't know exactly what type of content they need. Mm-hmm. Yo, charge them for the strategy behind that content.
Facts.
So I just want to say that like one of my favorite services that I now kind of roll out, now going into my 11th year of being a freelancer on the photo and video side, is saying, hey, I'd love to talk to you more about, content strategy, coming up with your content buckets. So then when it comes to the actual shoot, I can really help you get dialed in on content that's going to perform. So that's kind of been new for me. It's been fun. At the time of this podcast, I've probably consulted 5 business owners, and it's typically paid over Zoom, but sometimes it's in person, and it's been so fulfilling.
Question for you.
Yep.
If I want to consult with Paul Weaver, what are we talking hourly rate here?
Oh boy. So what I'm realizing,
it probably varies though, right? Because it depends on what you're strategizing on.
Yeah, I'll share. I'll drop some numbers with you.
Drop the goods, bro. Drop the goods.
Here's the deal. The most work happens before the work. The work before the work. So before I even hop on a Zoom call, I'm doing a lot of research. I'm preparing stuff for you. I'm maybe putting together even like what a sales funnel looks like and how content's going to interact with that.
Yeah.
So starting out is $350 an hour. It's happening over Zoom. It's typically with either the head of marketing or the co-founder or the founder, depending on the size of the company. And so far it's been really good.
Yeah, honestly, from knowing what I know about you, I feel like 350 is a freaking deal to get Paul Weaver in a room to talk about strategy. And I think what's interesting about consulting for creatives who are listening is that you might already be consulting your brands. You just don't know that it's something you could charge for. Because I feel like with you, you've always approached these content projects with strategy in the beginning. You call it pre-production, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Then you like realize at a certain point, like, oh crap, like this pre-pro that I'm doing is actually like, we're having like marketing discussions before we get into the content creation.
Yep.
And you should 1,000% be charging for that, whether that's in the project price itself or just a one-off, like just as a consulting.
Yeah. I want to share 3 quick things for anyone that might be like, wait, is consulting a good fit for me? I think 3 good signs is number 1, there's a demand for it. People are asking for it. And one way you can know if someone's asking for it is if there's a whole lot of back and forth communication before you even sign a contract or before the shoot even happens. And then also if they're asking to pick your brain. If a brand's asking to pick your brain or a business owner is, turn that into a consulting relationship.
PYB, bro. That PYB is crazy.
And then also I was going to say, if you find yourself leading with strategy first, another way that you can consult businesses. And then also I feel like it got to a point for me where I've become more obsessed, honestly, with helping business owners solve problems, not necessarily like through content, but through all the other things that support content. And it kind of was like an aha moment for me where I connected the dots and I'm like, I'm actually doing this for MIDCONVO. I'm doing this for the freelance photographer. I'm doing this for Paul, the brand. And I'm like, if I can just share what I've learned along the way with other business owners, then I think that I can build a consulting business. So that's fun.
So consulting business and podcast and the Paul Weaver brand and the freelance photographer, which if you follow the pod and you follow Paul, you know that he's already building the freelance photographer. What are you doing in the like personal life? Like, I feel like on social is not an accurate representation of all the things you have your hands in. What are some things that are happening in your personal life that take up a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, and sometimes even a lot of your money as well?
Hey, working out, hitting the gym though. Just kidding. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm always building multiple things.
Yeah.
We started out this episode with you saying you can't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
I am all about diversifying what I'm doing and making sure that I'm not just banking on one thing. So one thing that also comes to mind right now is I'm kind of trying to build kind of a space in my own house that I feel inspired by, that I and my wife and I can shoot in, but also that maybe at some point I can open it up on Peerspace so people can rent it. And in that building process, I haven't even built out a Peerspace listing for it yet. What I've actually done is I've just started taking content and posting it myself. And I started a designated Instagram for that. So at this point, I am building behind the scenes, more of like a home interior design Instagram profile.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun because we already have brands interacting with it.
Yeah.
And we've had people that have reached out saying, oh my gosh, I want to shoot there. But I'm being realistic and I'm kind of waiting until I feel like it's the right time.
So like, I think what's fascinating to me is in the line of not putting all your eggs in one basket, how do you even come up with ideas like that? You know, like sometimes people get so tunnel vision on, okay, I'm a creative, I'm going to work with clients, I'm going to shoot video, I'm going to get paid. Mm-hmm. That is like a very like one-dimensional way to look at your life. But you did that, you did photo, you did video, but now you're kind of doing like consulting, you're doing a coaching program, you're thinking about potentially Peerspacing your own home out. Like, I guess my question is, does that just come natural to you, or are you taking intentional time out of your day to like brainstorm ideas? Like, how does a creative come up with ways to diversify / invest their time into other things?
Man, you got the questions. Gee, I think it's throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks.
I see.
I think some of it's premeditated, but I think a lot of it just comes as I'm like just living my daily life. What I would say is I'm deeply inspired by traveling and also different cultures in interior design. If you look at my YouTube history, you got Architectural Digest, you got The Local House, you got Vogue up in there. And my wife and I, we've always been inspired by those things. Good design, good home design, interior design, architecture. So I think it was really just taking things that I'm inspired by and I'm already looking into and being like,
that's good.
Oh my gosh, this doesn't need to be an overnight thing that I launch. So what if I test the waters a little bit? So a lot of the things I'm building, I'm testing the waters. I don't know if there's going to be a huge demand for it yet, but the last thing I want is to have my growth hindered by not starting.
Yeah.
And I think as I think about just like what I'm building and what you're building outside of MIDCONVO, it's so cool because the conversations that I feel like we get to have outside of like shooting for clients, we get to see a different side of each other. And I want you to share with people, kind of for the first time ever, if you're cool with it, like what are you building besides MIDCONVO, besides Edward Lee Films, besides building this educational platform and those ideas on the e-commerce front, my guy? Because you work with a lot of e-commerce tech brands. People that follow you know that you love innovative, sleek design. Tell the people, because I think it's a awesome can of worms to open up in the world of like emerging e-commerce.
For sure. I think in line with what my question was and going into the brand that I want to start, I'm just very keen / in tune with what my interests are. So I love minimal aesthetics. I love travel. I love like the color black. I love color palettes. Like I geek out about those kind of things. I love tech. And these are just keywords. But the reason why I think understanding what your keywords are, like how every good brand is associated with certain words, how every business or project is associated with a certain vibe or keywords, I think it's valuable to kind of discover what your keywords are as a creative.
That's so like, good. Define your keywords.
When someone thinks of you, what words are associated with your brand as a person, as a creative, as an individual? And so for me, like I love tech, I love minimalism stuff. So I wanted to create something that lives on your desk, like a desk product. And I don't know how closely, if you're listening to this, how closely you follow my content, but you would know during COVID, your boy got into the desk setup space, okay? I wasn't intending to, but after that first one, your boy made a ton of desk setup videos.
You went from Geek Squad to Wire Tucking.
Quite literally flew to Miami to build this dude a desk setup, man, for content. Like, that's crazy.
Oh, man.
But in that process, I realized that I was promoting a lot of other brands, obviously because I need goods to create a desk setup. And then like fast forward a couple years and I was thinking to myself, frick, dude, like if I made my own product that was placed on the desk for like the millions of views that I've garnered now, I could have made a killing.
Wow.
And I'm not always just monetarily driven. I'm just saying it's like a missed opportunity almost. But I'm hopeful and I'm always optimistic that it's never too late to start new businesses. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter where you're at in life. Doesn't matter if you have money or not. Sometimes you just need the grit and the connections to be able to build something.
Bro, I think I want to touch on real quick. I think what you're saying is so good, but also you've been able to A/B test and research so many different products, speaking to the desk space, that when it came time for you to be like, oh, I think I'm going to pursue this, you have so much knowledge and you've been able to test out so many things that works for you. So it's cool that you've now hopped into like the research and development, the creation of something that is actually going to be a product that you believe in versus just like a money grab.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to build a product that is functional, and without saying like too much, because I want to talk about it, it's essentially a functional MagSafe charger that lives on your desk that has dual functionality.
That's awesome.
That's all I'll say.
Come on.
But it's really cool. It's going to be like CNC'd, custom cut from metal. We're doing a very small production run at the very outset, just to get interest, and for me, just to kind of force myself to learn the process of starting a product and what that looks like from a like CNC metal / woodwork, if I need to add wood to it or just whatever, the overall product pipeline, and then seeing what I can do to add my creative skills to market the product. But like you said, it's a lot of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. I think that typically people are very quick to rule out what will work and what won't work. But if you've never tried something, you can never rule it out. Like it's the argument that people say, oh, well, videographers and content creators are just so saturated. It's like, yeah, it is. But why are there new videographers always going viral all the time then? Why are there new cameras always coming out? Why are there new photo cameras always coming out? Like these companies are aware that like it's a growing industry. It doesn't really matter when you get into the market. You just got to get in. It's like, dude, it's like stocks, man. If you keep saying it's too late to invest your money, you wait 20 years to invest your money because you think the stock is too expensive.
Wow, you're going to be too late.
You're going to be too late.
Yep.
And all the growth that you would have had if you just got over your like hunch of it being too much, you would have 3, 4, 5 your money. And so a lot of it is just not looking at the past of how far it's come. Just start, bro. Just start.
That's good.
That's on the investment.
I just want to
front.
say it's the perfect recipe for you to be building out an e-commerce brand and products because you're obsessed with design. You care so much about the lines, the colors, the fonts, the feel. That's like, I'm surprised you don't have like, in a different life, I feel like you literally would just be like a product architect, a product designer.
Yeah, just like,
I wish I could hear that that's falling into your business.
I could somehow go to school and learn how to be like the director of vibes for a company.
That honestly could probably be a position.
That could probably be a company. I guess you would call that brand direction.
Yeah.
It's basically brand direction, brand identity, and just like brand from a high level.
Yep.
And I think that actually is a role. But aside from the product in e-commerce and aside from client work and the podcast, there are just a lot of things that I'm investing my money into.
Wow.
As well. I think that it's valuable to talk about this because a lot of creatives, a lot of people in general, obviously there's a wide range of salaries, wide range of incomes over the listeners that are on the podcast. But in general, you should be thinking about investments. And you need to be thinking about the moment that you make money, where that money goes. If you aren't thinking about how your money is going to work for you in like 10 years, you're going to run out of money. Or you're going to be freaking having gimbal back.
Working back in Notre Dame.
Because you're going to be working until you're 50 trying to pay bills. What are some things, I can go to mine too, but what are some things that you're doing? Dude, you just bought a house in Miami a few years ago. But I think in general, people view those types of milestones in life as, well, that's Paul. Like Paul's like freaking, he's successful, he's crushing it. Like, of course he can buy a nice house. Of course he can do all these things. But I know that like there was a progression to that point. You don't just like start a business and you're like, cool, we got money, let's go buy a house in Miami. It doesn't work like that. So can you give us a little bit of like how you got into that house, but also just the mindset of like it being an investment for you as a creative?
Yeah, I think it first starts out with understanding that with investing into something, and I'll get into kind of like my stack, if you will, of like what I'm investing my money into, but it comes with sacrifice. Like, I got 2 kids at the time of this podcast. I got a wife who's absolutely crushing it. She has a book, creating content. But yeah, we have a 3rd on the way.
Sheesh.
I live in Miami, one of the most expensive places to live. What I feel like has been a game changer for me is having a priority list of, all right, what do I need to be paying off first in order to maybe invest in other areas? And it started with college loans, student loans. When my wife and I got married 7 years ago, paid off the student loans. Okay. That was real hard.
That was hard.
I just want to drop numbers even because I want to share with you that I was starting my business from the ground up. My wife was working at Target Corp as a contractor, and we weren't making a whole lot of money, but we were living with a whole lot of sacrifice. Within 2 years, we paid off around $60,000 worth of student debt, which is crazy.
$60,000 in 2 years? Okay, I want to go down this rabbit hole. Like, tell us a story. Like, how are you able to, as newlyweds, pay off $60,000 in student loan debt in 2 years?
I think it's living below your means.
Okay, but there's more to that though. Like,
it's more of that. I mean, I think part of it was rather than getting paid and being like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go buy something like for my business. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to save this. And I'm also going to then put it at the end of the month into those loans. And I wasn't banking on loan forgiveness. I wasn't banking on anything other than the fact that if I got those paid off, I could then buy my first property and get out of kind of the loop of renting, which, listen, it works for somebody to rent, but let me speed this up quick. Paid off student loans, bought a house in Minnesota. That was awesome because that was our first big purchase together for my wife and I. And my business started picking up. Mm-hmm. My wife was also making money and we had our first kid. So that's cool. Mm-hmm. Now at that time, the only thing that I was really investing into was my mortgage. But shortly after, I started realizing, wow, my business is growing. It's incrementally growing. Part of that was because of retainers. Shout out to retainers.
Shout out retainer game.
Retainer gang was up. But in a nutshell, got 2 years in at my spot there in Minnesota, sold the house. After 2 years in the United States, you can sell your house and you don't have to pay tax on the capital gains. So the money that I made from that house purchase, when I sold it, I put into my Miami property. So now I live in Miami. I live in a property there. And I just want to say, like, living in Miami, it's easy to like feel almost like, wow, I need to like buy a nice car. I need to wear the nicest clothes. And don't get me wrong, I like swag, like that's cool. But to tell you what I'm investing into right now, it's my money goes towards making sure that I can cover my mortgage. So I have an emergency fund, but it's investing into a 401k, a Roth IRA for me and my wife. I have accounts set up for my girls where they each have a Roth IRA, which if you have kids and they're able to help in your business, you can actually pay them up to a certain amount of money per year. So what I do is I pay them that amount. Some goes into their Roth IRA, we max that out, and then some goes into their 529 education fund.
So Mila and Esme are employees.
They're chilling. And also, like, the thing is I actually have tracked in a spreadsheet all the gigs that me and Sammy are a part of in a calendar year that they touch and that they're a part of. So
love that.
My wife does a bunch of content for brands and she's in the content. So are my kids. Guess what? That's a modeling fee. So I went and looked at Miami kid models. I figured out what the average rate was. That's what they get paid per shoot.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm investing a lot because guess what? As someone who has a third on the way and doesn't want to be a slave to just always shooting and having my money tied to whether brands hire me or not for content, it's kind of nice to be able to be like, okay, cool. My money's now growing. And the more I put in there, the more it's going to compound. And I think that's where me and you really can like relate with our habits is I've actually always been financially smart because my parents raised me that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to know, like, after my little rant here is my advice to anyone who's building any sort of entrepreneurial business is once you get to a point where you feel like you have a little bit of cushion, as tempting as it is to go and buy that awesome car, as tempting as it is to go blow that money on like a new boat or anything, first look at, okay, cool. What can I put this in now so then I can maybe retire with more money later on so that I'm not just banking on gigs coming in order to pay for my retirement, if you will.
Are you asking me like what my strategy is for
Yeah,
that?
I'm curious what your, it's funny I came up with the word stack. I like that word lately.
Ooh,
like,
the
what's your
stack.
tech stack? What's your tech stack? But what's your investment stack right now?
Yeah, so as far as investment stacks, for me, we talk a lot about creative stuff on this podcast, but as Paul just mentioned, there's a progression that you go through as a young adult. And I would imagine that many people who are listening to this podcast are, I don't know, I haven't looked at our analytics lately, but I would imagine everyone who's listening to the podcast is somewhere between the ages of 18 and 35. I would say that's like a pretty safe bet.
If you're 36, we love you.
If you're 50, we still love you. No, but really though, like it doesn't matter what age you are. I'm just saying, like as a young adult, there are a lot of progressions you go through in terms of like your finances and relationships and like all that kind of stuff. So for me, my stack when it came to investments was always, what future do I want to build for myself? I don't know. Maybe it's like a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but I think that our generation in particular really struggles with the idea of wanting a good future, but wanting to be very present and having a good life, like now.
Yeah.
I think the old kind of mentality, I guess boomers or whatever the older generations, they were more like blue collar in the sense that they were okay with just like not having enjoyment in their youth.
Like stocking cash.
They're just like,
savings.
We're working hard to raise a family. We sometimes go out to eat dinner. We sometimes go on travels. But for the most part, we're ducking our heads down. We're staying out of debt. And we're owning a home. And like, that's it.
Wow.
You know? And I feel like that's okay. And at that time that worked. That was what was good. But now it's like we got 20-something-year-olds who are coming out straight out of college with debt, you know, without a job, and they're like, I want to go freaking travel the world and experience stuff.
Yep.
But I have no money.
Yep. Everyone wants to go to Tulum.
Yeah, and like that's fine. I think it's okay that we're going through a transitional time where younger generations want to experience life. I think that's good. Where there's a problem, in my opinion, is that your responsibilities, like you can't outrun them forever. So if you aren't investing, you aren't figuring out like these kind of conversations you're having with me and Paul right now, like the investment stack, yeah, you're going to enjoy your life now in your 20s or even your early 30s or 30s. But when you hit like 40, 50, you're going to be like, frick.
Yeah.
I don't have anything set up. I should have focused more when I was younger. So
we brought it up earlier, but just start. The earlier, the better.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like I look back to even high school. I remember some of my teachers being like, hey, all I got to say is set up, like have your parents help you set up a brokerage account. And I'm like, no. Well, guess what? That would have been so smart.
Dude, I think that like, not to get off tangent, but like if I had a kid right now, I feel like my sole goal in terms of like helping them financially would be, how can I put up money in an account and educate them so that when they're 21, 22, they can own their first property. It's like, that's my goal.
That's good.
It's like regardless if they have student debt or not, it's like, how can I get them their first like condo that they own and like drill into them that like the idea of paying rent is okay if you need to, but if you're young and you can own property, that will pay you dividends like later in life.
That's awesome.
And like, that's something that it's being basically like financially educated, that you don't really learn that in school.
No.
You learn that from your parents, you learn it from reading books, which, you know, some people say, well, my parents are not financially educated like that. It's like, okay, well, that's okay. There's books out there.
Break the chains.
Yeah, there's
change the trajectory.
Exactly. Be the change like in your generation. But anyway, not to go too of a tangent. My stack right now.
Give him the stack. Come on.
My stack is basically, your boy just paid off his car.
Hey.
Okay, so
I'm building the stack.
Yeah. So my investment strategies is basically, it goes my business, then it goes into my brokerage account. So like stocks. If people are curious, I'm invested into a lot of tech. Like a lot of tech stocks right now is big. So like Nvidia, anything AI related. I was in Tesla for a bit, but I got out of that. And just in general, like tech stocks are good. Meta, Microsoft, all those things. After brokerage, it probably goes into crypto. I've been investing.
CryptoPunks.
Yeah, I've been investing a lot more into cryptocurrency, which is not. By the way, none of this is financial advice, y'all. Like, this is not financial advice.
You're sharing the stack. Tell them the stack.
We're just sharing the stack, okay? Cryptocurrency, and then after that, my stack is probably I want it to be real estate. So it's like properties, owning properties, things of that nature. And then the next investment is, I would guess, my money that goes into my side hustles and my business and stuff. So it's interesting because it's like my business is always like the top, which is like I'm trying to invest more money into that. Then it's like my investment strategies, like brokerage, crypto, property. Then it goes like surplus money that I have typically goes into side hustles or starting an e-commerce brand.
That's awesome.
Things like that.
That's good.
So, but I think getting back to the topic of this episode, which is diversifying, too many people I think are just not thinking about what we're talking about, and they're just kind of working, going through the daily motions, trying to make money, doing what they love. And I think that's okay, because there's a certain point where you need to figure out what you're doing to make money. And if you're not at the point where you're even thinking about like owning a house or like that's okay. Like, we're not saying you need to go freaking buy a house. What we're saying is, though, as you make money, you need to figure out what you're going to do with that money. That's the conversation we're kind of saying with investing. Because a lot of people will make money, not know what to do with the money, and the dollar is losing value every day that you aren't figuring out how to use that money somewhere else.
That's good.
So
I think another element of all this is a lot of us, when you're growing your business and you're just an entrepreneur, it's so easy to just look at what's in front of you, like a month out, 2 months out, 3 months out. It's super hard to think like years out, right? Or even like, what is it going to look like when I'm 50, 60, 70? And I think a lot of what we're saying too is trying to figure out a way to, again, put ourselves in a position where life is going to be much easier, down the road versus, grind hard, get money, which I love. That's cool. Like, it's not so sexy always, but it brings me to this idea of like, even in the role of being a photographer and videographer the past 11 years, I just want to say, like, I've now tried on more so the producer role, and I'm building my skill set in the producer role. And I call that out because I think I used to be like, oh, small team, no one can touch me. Like, I'll do everything. All right, chill. What I'm finding myself now is I'm getting booked for bigger projects, and I'm growing and building in my skill set of how to be a better producer. So then guess what? In even 5 years, I don't have to touch a camera. I can organize a shoot. I can produce a shoot in a way that's going to be fulfilling and also is going to make my clients happy. So I think I just wanted to shout that out because I feel like me and you both are freelancers that deserve credit in building things like that, because we're not just, hey, we're going to show up and push buttons. We also have a skill set of, we've done the work with prop styling because we've been forced to. Casting, location scouting. I've never done hair and makeup though. Should probably get on that. I do have press-on nails though for hand models.
Bro, serious?
That's a hack. Yeah, Amazon press-on nude nails.
Sheesh.
And it'll help you when talent show up with checker nails or pink nails or stanky nails.
That's actually crazy. I didn't. The stanky nails. I think along with what you're saying, you becoming more of a producer and just owning that role and taking skills that you've taken over the years. If you don't have money to invest, at the very minimum, you could invest your time into learning.
Expand your skill set.
You can invest your time into education. Bro, who got the squeaky toy?
Hey, we got a squeaky boy in the back. That's that's our grip guy. But dude, what you're saying is so valuable. Hold up.
Yeah.
One way that you can build in your business is expanding your skill set.
And that just takes sometimes your time. I might take a little money if you buy some courses or education, but I would say in general, if you don't have the money to buy a house or invest into brokerage or really put your money to work for you, then skip out on that little hang sometimes once in a while, Go learn a skill, go learn something that can generate money at some point. Because education is everything. Like education is really, really important that I think a lot of people don't talk about enough. They're always thinking about how to get rich quick. They're not talking about how to get educated quick.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on. That's awesome. I just want to riff real quick. We're all about no gatekeeping, collaboration. There's a lot of resources out there if you're looking to grow and build your knowledge in something. I'm just going to say it. Me and Ed are obviously he's building an educational platform. I have the freelance photographer, but like Zach Kravitz, you got full-time filmmaker. There's a lot of awesome resources out there if you do some digging, and maybe you learn from someone more so than someone else. Invest in yourself, and it will help create growth in the long run.
I think that's pretty much what we wanted to say on this episode.
Yeah.
We just wanted to go into a little bit about the investment stacks that me and Paul are focusing on, but also some practical tips on where you can focus your energy and your time and your money if you're trying to not have gimbal back.
And put all your eggs in one basket. I think that's the biggest thing is we've done workshops before together where people raise their hand and say, I have a question. In like 10 years, what if I have like health issues? Or what if I can't hold a camera anymore?
Yeah.
What if I can't hold a rig? And my response has always been like, oh, you should just be like a creative director, producer. You should be something kind of more behind the scenes. Okay. But I think there's going to be a shift where what if I told you that there's maybe something that you can start putting your attention to now, so then you can kind of travel, be on your computer, whether it's consulting or education, building an e-commerce brand, which I think is super awesome because Shopify is obviously an absolute beast of an engine with anyone that wants to launch a product nowadays. But I hope this was valuable to you guys.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear in the comments too, like, what are you building?
Yeah. What are you building and what are some friction that you feel with the things that you're building? I feel like this could be a whole other episode, but if you feel an excessive amount of friction with something you're trying to build, there might be some possibility to make a few tweaks and pivot your idea to make it much more easy for you to succeed. I think that is worth talking about, but maybe that's for another episode.
And then if imposter syndrome's creeping in,
always
you find yourself bringing up ideas to the people in your circle and they're like, yeah, I don't know if you should be focusing on that. Check the demand, check to see if there's a proof of concept, do some market research, find a new friend group. I'll be honest with you, like I have a lot of friends that are not in the creative industry and not entrepreneurs. If I told them about building my Instagram account from my house or supporting my wife with her book launch or building anything, outside of my photography video business, they might not be as encouraging. They might be like, yeah, dude, I feel like you got a lot going on. You have kids. But when I bring it up to you, Ed, you're like, that's fire.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, surround yourself with people that are going to champion you.
Mic drop. That's a mic drop moment.
We're done?
We're done.
Done.
Peace. Nah, for real though. If you found enjoyment out of this episode, leave us that 5-star review. Like I said, we're in Seattle, so we're probably going to take Paul around a little bit.
Space Needle.
Show him some basic Seattle things and get after it.
Yeah. Go Mariners.
Peace.